We are, like I said, the second largest of all of the state universities in Oregon. So we have just over 26,000 students who attend Portland State, but most of those students are pursuing their bachelor's degree. So any student who's pursuing a bachelor's degree is called an undergraduate student. And we have a little under 21,000 undergraduate students who attend Portland State. Um, we have a number of students who are also what are called first generation students. So those are students whose parents did not graduate from college. And that is a population that we are honored to serve, that we have been given recognition for being a university that graduates first generation students at a high rate. Also, part of my favorite thing about first generation students is often they inspire their parents to go back to school. So it is not unusual for us to actually have family members graduating at commencement at the same time. One year we even had a grandparent and his grandchild graduate at the same time, which was really sweet to see. Um, we are also the most diverse when it comes to the racial and ethnic makeup of our student population, with a large number of international students too. Hopefully one day when we are able to once again travel, a neat thing about our international students is if you as a student wish to participate in a study abroad program, going to another country and continuing your education, technically that's what international students are doing. And so they're a great resource to go talk to about what it's like to study abroad. And if they're from the country that you will ultimately be going to, like what a fantastic connection to make before you head out on your adventure. This slide that you're seeing on your screen right now is a part of our campus called the Park Blocks. For those of you who've been to Portland, Oregon before, if you've been in the downtown, you might have noticed that there's a stretch of blocks that kind of run through downtown Portland that has remained undeveloped. So there's no buildings, it's just trees and grass and public art and playgrounds, things like that. And on the Portland State campus, the park blocks that run through our campus is actually home to the Portland Farmers Market, which is a farmers market that goes on year round in Portland. It's a great place to go and support your local farmers, your local restaurants, vendors. There's a wonderful hot sauce vendor there that I really enjoy going to. Students really love, there's a breakfast burrito cart there that people are obsessed with and like wait in line forever. And so that's kind of a neat thing for us to have on our campus. And as you can see, it's a really lovely place to go on those sunshiny days and do a little studying, things like that too. We are a 50-acre campus. So you might have actually even been on campus and not even known it if you were in downtown Portland. Um, and a neat thing about being on campus is it's such a dynamic place to go to school because we are in the heart of Portland, but it doesn't just feel like you're in like downtown, a bunch of office buildings. Block to block can feel really different. Obviously the park blocks, beautiful grass and trees. There's another part of campus, it's all like historic buildings, this beautiful Victorian home that's home to our Alumni Association. So it's a really dynamic campus. So as you move around campus, it can really have a different feel block to block. We are not a university that requires students to live on campus. So that's up to you if that's something that you'd like to do. Some students have family that lives close by and they decide to live with them because it can save a lot of money. And I understand why people might want to make that choice to save on the cost of going to school. But if you have the opportunity to perhaps live on campus, I would encourage you to do so. Statistically speaking, students who live on campus do tend to have higher grades, tend to graduate at a higher rate. And also, it usually costs a gazillion dollars to live in downtown Portland. So the opportunity to have an apartment in downtown as a student is pretty incredible. And our housing, it's so nice. They are apartment style housing. They don't have communal bath for freshman students. There's no communal bathrooms. You and your roommates have your own bathroom. Many of them even have their own little kitchenette as well too. So unlike maybe when your parents went to school or your friends, like when I went to school, my dorm room was like a concrete closet. it's pretty nice option to live on campus. And freshmen are going to live with freshmen when they come to campus, but once you're a sophomore, junior, senior, you'll have more options of where to live on campus as well too. Because we're not one of those schools where just only freshmen live on campus. It's uncool to live on campus once you're no longer a freshman. We actually have more sophomore, junior, seniors living on campus because they are such nice housing places and way less expensive than renting your own apartment. Most of our students are going to utilize some form of financial aid to assist them in funding their schooling at Portland State. We have some wonderful cultural and resource centers I'm going to talk a little bit more about coming up. Over 200 student clubs to get involved in. So let me list those for you. They are, I'm not going to list 200 clubs, but lots of ways to get involved beyond the classroom. And this is of particular importance if you're not going to live on campus, because again, a lot of studies have shown students who get involved beyond the classroom tend to have higher grades. And we have so many options to get involved, from political action student groups very specific to particular career fields. Some of my favorite clubs are the student radio station, student newspaper. We have one of the West Coast only student-run movie theaters, an actual movie theater, not like a classroom we call a movie theater, free for students to see films. The rest of us have to pay, but that can be a fun thing to get involved in, even if you're not a film major. Even a really clear path towards starting your own club if there's something that you have an interest in. I know my colleagues and I always like to mention some students who started a club Quidditch team a few years back. I don't know if you've ever seen live Quidditch on YouTube. It's bananas. I had a parent tell me it's one of the #1 injured intramural sports. So if you play it, be careful, but lots of ways to get involved, beyond the classroom, in ways that are more social, in ways that are about building your portfolio, in the ways that are about networking. We're also Division I when it comes to college athletics. We play in the Big Sky Conference. If you have an interest in playing college sports, junior year is the best time to start getting involved in that. So having your coaches reach out to the recruiters at Portland State if that's something that you have an interest in. These are some of our larger employers of our graduates. And I like this photo that goes with this slide because I think it emphasizes the fact that your campus is in a city environment. So these employers are at your doorstep. They employ many people who graduated from Portland State, so it would behoove them to come to campus and talk to students in person, to talk with professors about the things that they are looking for and whom they hire. And while these are mostly larger companies we have listed here, Portland is home to mid-sized companies, startups, nonprofits. The opportunity for internships as a student at Portland State is pretty incredible because these companies are at your doorstep. It is not unusual for students to actually do an internship, which is an opportunity as a student to get some hands-on experience at a company, an opportunity to do that every single year that you're in school. Most schools, if they're in a land-grant university, they're not in a city environment that has a lot of employment opportunities. So often students just do an internship one time because they have to do it during the summertime. But at Portland State, students have a lot of opportunities that it's up to them if they wish to take advantage of or not. But hopefully you do, because it can make such a difference. Now, I mentioned a little bit earlier some of the cultural and resource centers that we have on at our campus. So this is a list of what those centers are. If you have an affinity for one of these student groups, I hope that you would look to get involved as a student at Portland State. It's a wonderful way to really mingle with students from your own culture, to learn about cultures other than your own, and also to receive assistance through many of the different resource centers that are available on campus if you need that support from them. In the classroom, over 200 majors to choose from. If you're confident in what you would like to study, that's wonderful. But if you're kind of questioning maybe what you want to be your major, that's fine too. When you're applying to Portland State, you'll have the option to either pick a major, or you can pick what's called a pathway, which is a grouping of certain subject areas that you want to pick the one that seems most in line with where your interests lie, and it will make sure that you are then linked to a team of advisors who can assist you in the process of exploring areas of interest to you, so you can make sure that you can then really nail down what's going to be the most appropriate major for you. And for those of you who are sure what you would like to major in, that is wonderful. But if you change your mind eventually, which is not an uncommon thing, we have wonderful advisors who can assist you in understanding how that you can make that change your major, how might that impact how long you're in school, things like that. People always seem to want to know what are some of the largest majors. So business is very popular major. Biology is a very popular major, especially with students who might be what we call pre-health. So they might be pre-med, pre-dentistry, pre-radiology. The engineering majors are very popular. Fun fact about our engineering program, it is one of a handful of engineering programs throughout the United States that has a direct working relationship with NASA. There's actually a whole room in the School of Engineering that's just for Skyping with the International Space Station. In the School of Engineering, there's a drop elevator that allows students to do experiments in simulated zero gravity. They've really done some very cool experiments that they've actually sent up to the International Space Station. And a couple years ago, they did a collaboration with NASA and Nickelodeon, where they were doing experiments with slime in simulated zero gravity and creating learning programs for elementary school kids, which I thought was really fun. We have, while we're a research university and we really strive in STEM majors, we also have some excellent creative majors. Our School of Music, our film department, graphic design, things like that too as well. So lots to choose from. And while we are a large university, remember we're just under 21,000 undergraduate students, check out these statistics. 20-to-1 student to faculty ratio, average freshman size class 28. So we're a big school and all the benefits that come with that, right? In terms of networking and whatnot, but still small classes. So you're kind of getting the best of both worlds. The opportunity is to really have those one-on-one appointments with your professors as you start to explore really within your major, where might you be a good fit? Where are you showing your strengths? What sorts of research might you want to get involved in? Things like that. So you're still going to have that opportunity to have those one-on-one discussions with your professors. And then over 200 study abroad programs. Obviously, those are on pause right now, but we hope soon enough that's going to be an experience that students who wish to get involved in will have the opportunity to do so. Now, these are our current admission criteria for freshman applicants. We have recently made a change to them in response to the impact the pandemic has had on students' academics. Nothing but respect from us to you high school students when it comes to what you've had to go through over this past year and the impact that it's had on your academics. Obviously, none of us have experienced that before, so we can only imagine how hard this has been for you. We've really seen some incredible work that students have done while also dealing with some pretty heavy issues at their home, whether it be illness, loss of jobs, things like that. And we understand the stressors that that can cause for students. So we really wanted to acknowledge that as a university. So we did lower our GPA requirement. So right now we are looking for a 2.5 cumulative GPA from high school with a C minus or better in the subject areas that you see listed here. So that's 4 years of English, math up to algebra 2, 3 years of science, 3 years of social science, and 2 years of the same second language. If you meet this admissions criteria, the 2.5 cumulative GPA or above and the C minus or better in these subject areas, you would receive admission to Portland State University. This isn't just to be considered for admission, you would be admitted if you met this criteria. Now, if your cumulative GPA is below a 2.5, then you might require a further admissions review. I would strongly encourage you, if you plan to apply to Portland State and you're confident that your cumulative GPA is below a 2.5, reach out to me directly. Remember, I'm your admissions counselor. So reach out to me, let me know, and you and I can have a conversation about additional steps that you might take when it comes to being considered for admission to Portland State. Now, we are a university where students have the opportunity when applying for admission to Portland State. They can also request to co-enroll. We have some local community colleges here in the area, Portland Community College, Mount Hood. Lane Community College is not part of the co-admission process, but students can look to be admitted to Portland State and a local community college at the same time if that's something that you have an interest in doing. Now, some of you might choose to attend your local community college, perhaps Lane Community College, before you move on to your four-year university. So when it comes to pursuing admission as a transfer student, we have different criteria. So transfer applicants pursuing admission to Portland State, we're looking for you to have completed 30 or more credits at your community college. So note that you don't have to have your associate's degree before you transfer to Portland State. You just need to only have completed 30 or more credits if you want to be considered a transfer applicant. We're looking for a 2.25 cumulative GPA from your college or university, and for you to have passed a class called Writing 121 with a C- or better. Oregon high school graduates are still going to be held to that second language admissions requirement, even as a transfer applicant. And that can be filled either by 2 years of a second language in high school or by a year of a second language at the college or university that you attend. In terms of cost of attendance, what we're looking at right now is the current cost of attendance. So this is for 2020, 2021. So this is for the full academic year. So an academic year is 3 quarters, fall, winter, spring. And so this reflects a student who attended fall, winter, spring, and took 15 credits each quarter. So for tuition and fees for an Oregon resident, they're paying approximately $10,081 this year in tuition and fees. Check out if you weren't a resident of Oregon, $29,837. You save a lot of money going to an in-state school as an Oregon resident. Now remember, tuition and fees isn't the only cost of going to school. There's still going to be additional costs, things like books and supplies. Notice that we list a cost for housing and meals, even if you're choosing not to live on campus, just because there's still going to be expenses involved, even if you live with a family member. Transportation, of course, personal expenses. You want to take all of those things into account when determining if this is going to work out financially for you to attend Portland State University. Now, we do have some scholarship opportunities that are particular to Oregon residents. There's a program called 4 Years Free. This is specifically for high school students. So Oregon residents graduating from an Oregon high school who are Pell Grant eligible based on the FAFSA. That's the acronym for the Free Application for Federal Student Aid. They must be first-time students coming to Portland State, looking to be full-time students starting in the fall. So for you guys, that would be fall 2022. There's no separate application to be considered for this program. All students who meet this criteria when if they are admitted to Portland State University would receive this program. And what it's covering is standard tuition and fees. It doesn't cover books and supplies or housing or transportation, all of those additional expenses we were talking about earlier, but it's still covering the standard tuition and fees. So it's an impressive scholarship to qualify for. Now, the deadlines that you're seeing listed on the screen right now, these are specific for students pursuing admission to fall 2021. For those of you looking to come to school fall 2022 or later, these deadlines might change for you. All the more reason to please make sure if Portland State University is a college that you think you're going to be considering once you're a senior, please make sure that you fill out the inquiry card that Cree has been posting in the chat. So we can keep you up to date on any changes that might happen for some of these scholarship programs. For students who don't plan to come immediately to Portland State, maybe they want to start at a community college and then transfer, we do have a transfers finish free program as well, and you can see the eligibility criteria on the slide. When it comes to funding and education at Portland State, students typically take a three-pronged approach. First, they look to see what, if any, financial aid they might qualify for, either by filling out the FAFSA, or for those students who can't fill out the FAFSA, they might fill out the ORSA. That's how you're going to learn what, if any, federal or state aid that you may or may not qualify for. Typically, that's not going to cover the entire cost of going to school. So then students look at scholarships. Now, the scholarships that I mentioned are automated scholarships. No additional application needs to be submitted to be considered for those. But we do have separate scholarship application at Portland State for other scholarships that you might qualify for. So once you're a senior, make sure that you look to get that filled out. That has a pretty quick deadline. February 1st is usually when that scholarship application needs to be submitted. And let me tell you, come your senior year, time goes fast. That deadline will sneak up on you. So make sure you get that filled out right away. But also make sure that you research private scholarship opportunities. Just stay away from any scholarship opportunity that tries to charge you money. I've never seen a legitimate one charge you money. If financial aid and scholarships doesn't cover the entire cost of going to school, then you're going to probably have to look at out of pocket to make up that balance of cost. Lots of students look to work when they go to school these days. That's a reality for a lot of students. If you're lucky enough to have some savings to help you pay for school, obviously that's going to be a great help. You can even look into setting up a monthly payment plan to pay off the balance of cost each quarter. Now, this is a timeline that would be more appropriate for a current senior who's looking to come in fall 2021. Since most of you are juniors, you just like add a year on, right? So come fall 2021, that's when you want to start applying to your colleges and universities, filling out the FAFSA, having your transcript sent. In the winter 2022, all of the schools that you've been accepted to should start sending you financial aid offer letters if you fill out the FAFSA or the ORSA. In the spring, hopefully spring 2022, it will be easier for you to actually go visit your colleges in person. I can't emphasize enough the difference that can make if that will be feasible for you to do. It's one thing to see slideshows like this or read a brochure. If we're honest, they all kind of look alike. It's a bunch of people like sitting on steps. You want to try and go in person if at all possible to really get a feel for the campus. I love being in downtown Portland. I think our campus is such an exciting place to be. But it doesn't feel that way to everyone. So I hope that you will try and come in person to make sure it feels like a good fit. And if it does, and you do plan to attend Portland State University, we would ask that you confirm your plans to enroll, have that final high school transcript sent in, because we've got this little requirement, you have to graduate from high school, right? So we need proof of that. Senioritis is real. We got to make sure that you've maintained your GPA and that you're still admissible. And then you'd have to attend an orientation in the summer before you could register for your fall classes. So this is contact information for different departments at Portland State that you would probably interact with. And I believe that Cree has been sharing with you my contact information. If you would like to schedule an appointment to meet with me, maybe someday in person, but right now it'd be virtually or via phone, you are welcome to do so, especially if you'd like to maybe get that set up with one of your parents or legal guardians. I am happy to answer those questions one-on-one with you. But with that, I'm going to check in with Cree and see, Cree, were there any questions posted during the presentation that need to be addressed?
Not that I saw. I believe students are only able to chat you privately.
Oh, gotcha. Well, let me look through here then. Please feel free if you have any questions. Actually, you can turn on your microphones. I believe that you are able to do that. So you're welcome to ask a question live, or if you'd like to post something in the chat, that would be directly to me. You're welcome to do that. Cree, was there anything that maybe I missed in my presentation that you think would be helpful to share with students today?
Oh no, I think you did a fantastic job. One thing that Josephine highlighted that I would just like to speak to is really just the opportunity for connection at PSU. I think that can mean getting a job on campus, it can mean getting an internship or joining a student club. But there really is something for everyone because of our unique campus community. So I really encourage you all explore what you would like to do while you're still in high school, and then start seeing if the colleges you're interested in offer those things.
I love that. Thanks, Cree. I do think there's something to be said for working at your university. I think it almost gives you like a behind the scenes view. And you can't have a more empathetic employer. Like we know when finals weeks are coming, things like that. So if you have a student job, often your hours are adjusted because of finals week. You might have heard of something called work study, which is something you would qualify for via your FAFSA. If you qualify for work study, that just means that you are eligible to apply for these federally funded jobs on campus. But even if you don't qualify for work study, there's still tons of jobs on campus. A lot of students work at the library. A lot of students work at the rec center. We have a killer rec center that as a student at Portland State, you would have access to. Has great workout equipment, swimming pool, rock climbing wall. You take exercise classes there, personal training, and lots of students work there. I'll put a little plug for working in the admissions office. We're super fun. We have lots of student workers on campus. Cree actually supervises a team of student workers that are called telecounselors who, if you're an applicant to Portland State, you might hear from one of them that just sort of reach out and support applicants to Portland State. Let's see here, just double checking the chat. Anyone have any questions for me? Otherwise, I thank you for joining us today. We just wish you all of the best as you are finishing up your junior year during this bananas time. Don't hesitate to reach out to us if we can be of any assistance, because we are here for you, we support you, and we wish you all of the best. All right, I think Cherie is in here. I don't
I
know.
am. I
Hi.
am. I'm going to stop recording and